Okay, FCA Nevada, thanks for tuning in for another episode. We are joined today by a good friend of mine, also a special guest, a Wolfpack alum, an FCA, I guess FCA Nevada alum as well. The guy travels a lot, California, Arizona, Nevada. Today we're joined by Austin Byler. What's up, man? How you doing, bud?
James, I'm doing great, man. It's great to see you again. The beard's looking great. The hair good as always, and it's good to connect with you again, man. Thanks for having me on.
For sure, but I'd like to say that this is a lockdown beard, but this has been here a while. But I might just let it go like man cave style right now for the next few weeks, months, whatever it looks like. But yeah, man, it's good to see you. You got a little bit of sunshine. So where you at right now?
I'm down in Arizona right now. It's 80 degrees and beautiful out here, man. The birds are chirping. It's perfect.
That's nice. Yeah, man, we're not allowed to venture too far from our homes or at all right now. So having some warmth in the backyard looks like a pretty nice spot to be.
Yeah, it makes this a little bit better, a little more bearable. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Well, hey, we're glad that you're going to spend a little bit of time with us today. We're going to have athletes, coaches, and maybe some inquisitive people kind of tuning in today. So, Austin, why don't you go ahead and start by telling us just a little bit about your upbringing, a high school you went to, and how you kind of settled on baseball as your sport.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, first of all, I basically grew up in Peoria, Arizona, so out here on the West Coast. I grew up here, played ball, always had a passion for baseball since a young age, 5, 6 years old. Started playing about 4 years old. I know the first sport or the first tool that I ever picked up was a baseball bat, so that was pretty cool. I can't do any of the handyman work like my pops or my brother, but I can swing a baseball bat, or at least used to, which is good. So that I kind of fell in love with baseball at a young age. Growing up in Arizona, we could play year-round. There's no snow in my area of Arizona, so that made it very easy for us to have access to the fields and be able to get out and play baseball all year. And so that was really cool, just being able to do that from a young age all the way up till 13, 14, 15. I'm going into high school. I played originally baseball, football, and basketball, so I got to play a couple different sports. Just got to have a little bit of variety. But once I got into high school, I played strictly baseball, settled on it, played about 2 weeks of football. Then I quit because it was a little hot in Arizona in August, a little muggy, and I didn't like getting yelled at all the time. So I was like, not the sport for me. So I stopped playing football there that year and just pursued baseball. I knew that there was a big calling in my life for baseball and a lot of really good opportunities. High school was amazing, really good high school head coach that we had. He's over 20 years there, and just a really good opportunity to get to the next level of college where I wanted to go. And that's kind of where everything sparked there for baseball, man.
Awesome. So, you grew up in what we, I guess by today's standards, will say is a pretty solid family, right? 11 parents, siblings. How many siblings you got?
Yeah, 5 siblings.
Oh
So
man, you
6
got
of
a
us.
horde. You got a horde.
Oh, a lot of babysitting, James. If you
Yeah.
need a babysitter, I'm pretty good at it.
That's enough for a starting 5, man. You can go out and hoop it up. That's awesome.
Let's go.
And then you embarked on this whole recruiting process, right? Which resulted in you ending up at the University of Nevada. So just explain to us a little bit how that occurred.
Yeah, the recruiting process was a beast of its own. It was unbelievable. I know as a sophomore, I originally was pretty selfish about where I wanted to go. I knew that I had the opportunities, and not the opportunities, sorry, but the talents and abilities to get to the next level. But my buddies were getting seen by schools. They were getting offers, or at least talks of getting offers, talking with different universities, and I wasn't getting anything. So I was a little jealous at first. I'm like, how are these guys getting recruited when I have better stats? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And they're still getting the opportunities I'm not. So the recruiting process was tough for me through high school because it took a lot of I had to just learn how to be more selfless, I guess, in that process and not as selfish with it, because it's really easy for athletes nowadays to get wrapped up in poor me rather than encouraging your teammates and the other people around you. And I didn't have an offer until my senior season, the day after the championship game, May 26th. I went up to Nevada. Thankfully, I thought it was UNLV at first. Had no idea that it was in Reno, which
easy.
I know, man. Hey, no Rebel Red on this one. We'll see about that. But guess what? I went up there. It's sleeting. It's May 26th, and I'm like, what the heck? And the guy I had to replace was Brock Stassi, who he had a great career in Nevada. He was 4 for 4 in the game, a couple doubles, the triple. I'm like, man, I got to replace this guy in the snow in May. Are you kidding me? So I got the offer there, May 26th. Ended up signing the deal and going on to Nevada, which was the biggest blessing of my life. But the recruiting process specifically games was really tough because you're in the unknown. Being in Arizona, we had all these big tournaments around us, so it wasn't like I wasn't being seen or getting in front of college coaches and professional scouts. But I was just wondering, how am I going to be the best fit? I'm a corner, infielder, first base, third base. A lot of people didn't think I could move very well at the time. Left-handed hitter. I'm like, gosh, I got to get something, right? There's got to be somewhere out there, some sort of an organization, some program that I'm a fit for. And it was tough to really decipher the good and the bad in the situations, but it taught me a lot about baseball, the sport, the business side, how to set yourself apart from other people and other programs, and really just catch an eye and get to that next level.
Yeah, good stuff, man. That's some good wisdom right there. So it was at Nevada where our paths first crossed, right? Because I was serving with another guy at the time, Pastor Dan Dix, as a kind of a baseball chaplain for the Wolfpack, and you would come to, you know, it was you got a dog barking at you, bro.
Dude, the dog crazy here, man. They're unbelievable.
You know what? It's all
that.
good right now because there's grace for all this. Everyone in the nation is shut down with their pets. So, you know, I'll probably have one of my kids come in and like just climb on me a minute. So we're good.
I respect it, man. I respect it.
So, yeah, so our paths crossed, and you would come to chapel, right? You know, you come and hang out a little bit when someone was kind of giving a life lesson, what we call it with FCA, or whether it be after BP on a game weekend or what have you. And you grew up in what type of faith-based household, would you say?
Yeah, we were a Christian family,
Yeah.
but it was more of like we go to church on Easter, on Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving weekend, and maybe a few others sprinkled in here and there. And it was with travel ball as a baseball kid growing up, every Sunday we're at a tournament.
Absolutely.
So it got completely banged, and we weren't able to go to church because we were able to go to church. We prioritized the baseball over the faith. And at that time, I had no idea how important it was. I mean, my pops and my mom were both believers. Still are, and we went sometimes on those occasions, but it kind of got weeded out because of the sports aspect. So I'm definitely a faith-based family, but it wasn't like a full-on priority, I guess, for us growing up as nearly as much as today.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I know there's going to be a lot of pastors watching this who are kind of just almost giving the silent clap, right? Because that's a tension that I know a lot of churches and spiritual leaders see, not just within baseball, but there's this prioritization. You use the word, but I think it's a fair word to say when we kind of present with this option, right? If your kid's going to be successful at playing ball, whatever the sport is, you travel on weekends. Then it becomes almost that tension of, well, we're not at church, and therefore, you know, it's like this double life. So I know one of the things that's being addressed by many is extra resources to maintain connections, like, you know, obviously as FCA, but midweek services, inspirational stuff for families on the road to even engage in Bible studies or what have you. So that wasn't as prevalent back when you were playing. Certainly wasn't when I was playing ball. But that is a very real tension, right? Where families say, yeah, we're Christian families, but there's that chapter of our kids' life. If they're going to be good at ball, like Sundays is like a no-go, you know? And I think you definitely fell into that category, right? I mean, it's a tough one, but some would say it paid dividends. But in terms of you getting to college, but how was that spiritual life for you when you first got to college? Because at that point you're away from home, right? You're kind of branching out. Mom and dad aren't there, that covering, that safety net. How was your spiritual climate, shall we say, in your first couple of years at Nevada?
Yeah, it was very poor. It was very, very poor, just being blunt, straight up honest, man. It was,
Sure, yeah.
I think I think somebody gave me a competitor's Bible at some point for the athletes, but I never looked at it. It never left the shelf. It was in my backpack somewhere, tucked away deep. Never got into the Word, never really pursued any of the FCA events or any opportunities. I think at that time at Nevada, was just kind of getting kicking and going. I did go to the ones during the season when Dan would come out. I think you were still there in my early years as well. But it was lacking, man. I was lacking spiritual nourishment, and I didn't really spend a lot of time in the faith aspect. I didn't see the importance in it at the time. I figured I got this. I got here. I can get through this on my own, but it was tough, man. That first 6 months of Nevada, I wanted to leave. I called another coach at the break, my junior college coach that I was going to go play with if things didn't, like if they kind of fell through with Nevada. And I called him. Thankfully, he was in Mexico for a week, so he didn't get back to me, and I had a week to think about my decision, right? So it's crazy how God works, but that happened, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stick this out and stay, because it was tough, man. I was playing for Coach Powers, old school mentality, mental toughness, man, and a lot of great life lessons, but it was just a different breed, a different culture that I wasn't used to in high school. And obviously being away from home, I missed my family. I missed everybody here. I had a girlfriend at the time that was home, and it was tough. I was like, man, I want to go home. But guess what? For some reason, God kept me there, and there was these amazing things that happened because of it. But I didn't have the resources necessarily that I needed, and nor did I pursue the resources that I should have probably pursued to stay more connected to my faith at that time.
Yeah, good word, man. So when did this, I guess, this progression of, by name, you're a Christian, right? By name, by family name, but I think you summed it up beautifully that when, like many get to college, like I got this, right? It's like we almost use faith like a vending machine, kind of dip in and out when we want something, need something. When and how did your faith really start to become your own in terms of like God getting a hold of you, challenging you, pursuing you? So you stepped away from your parents. What caused you to really go, you know what? Like I'm all in with Christ. When was that, and how did that occur?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, James. There was a big breaking point in my life, and it was probably after college. I kind of dabbled in those junior, senior years of college a little bit, and gave it a little bit of attention. I acknowledged that God was there and acknowledged what he was doing, and a lot of people were showing up to these events, but I was kind of, hey, I got this, right? And I was distracted, very distracted off the field. And I went through an addiction period with prescription medications, and that's where I really was at the sunken bottom. Like, you think of it in an ocean, like I'm swimming at the bottom with the unknown beasts, man. Like, sharks are gnawing on my legs every day, and I had just so depressed and so much anxiety, I didn't know how to handle myself. And finally, in professional baseball, where my faith truly like sparked in was after probably my second year of professional baseball. I got a hold of a mentor here in Arizona as well, who's involved with FCA, invited me to a coach's Bible study. I said, I guess I'll see what it's all about. And I went, and it was the coolest thing in the world. I'm like, man, I got big leaguers around me. I've got 20-year big leaguers around me. I've got coaches from college, high school, all over the place that are dealing with the same things that I'm dealing with, and went through the same experiences that I went through, and they found the Lord. And that's where I was like, I think the Lord kind of grabbed a hold of me there. He was always waiting. He was always lurking. He was there with me the entire time, right? He's always with us. But at that point, he really just kind of took me by the hand and said, hey, quit doing it on your own. Like, you need help. I'm here to help you. And that's where I fully bought in. I acknowledged it during pro ball, during college. I would go to all the FCAs. I would go to every Sunday Bible study. I was always in it there, but I was the fair weather, one time a week, and that's it. Never really get into the Bible, never study the word. Never really talk about the word outside of those groups. And that's where he really took me by the hand, man, and changed my life forever. And it's been so much different since.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love hearing that. So, we obviously work with athletes like yourself because athletes have a ripple effect. They inspire. And we want to see people inspired for the gospel through the influence of coaches and athletes. And you went to this Bible study. Who's the FCA guy in Arizona?
Matt Palmer. Matt Palmer.
Let's give Matt a shout out. Good job, Matt.
Hey, legend. Legend. He's the man. Works with Beltramo a lot, man. Works with Beltramo a lot.
Yeah, well, that's too bad for him. No, I'm only joking.
Poor B, man.
So, poor B. No, but so he obviously saw something in you, saw that God was like knocking at your door. Like you said, God's never away from us. He's always asking the questions, but he draws us. And the influence of big leaguers being there, coaches, it was definitely like an inspiration to you, right? I mean, it kind of inspired you to go, man, I can have this faith and still make it, I guess, to the level that I'm looking for, right? Is that fair?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. That was a big key to see that aspect. Like when you show up to Sunday, little Bible study, whatever you want to call it, that's not even like nobody really came in to do it with us. It was led by a coach, like one of our coaches. And then you see a couple guys from the big league side come over. You're like, oh, okay, some of these guys are doing it too. Okay, that makes sense. It's pretty cool. Like, that guy's really, really good and had a lot of success and seems really, really happy. I wonder what he's doing, right? You start to ask questions, but that was big key for sure.
Yeah, it's very much so like that draw of like, what's he got? If it's working, like I wanna try it, and they bring that peace with them, right? So one of the things I really appreciate when you went through this process is like we stayed in connection the whole time. I mean, we played golf or whatever, but then your faith really kind of started to grow, and then you wanted to have this urge to give back. So we got you in front of some schools to speak and kind of share your story a little bit, the honesty of your prescription drugs, challenges. And then this kind of this desire to speak. And when you see kids empowered for the gospel and other inspirational areas of their life, it was evident that you had a natural gift for it and a growing gift. And how has this public speaking in your life developed you to where you're at now?
James, I'll tell you one thing, and I'll forever be grateful for this from you, is I remember, I think it was my junior or senior year of college, and I spoke to one of the FCA groups, might have been Damani Ranch or something like that. And you're like, look, I'm going to keep putting you in front of people, and one day in 5 years, you're going to be amazed at where you're at. And literally 5 years later, I think is right now.
Yeah.
It maybe like even next year's 5 years, which is creepy to me how unbelievably like true that statement was. But I've never forgot that statement that you said, and it's literally changed my life forever, because my goal is to inspire other people, because I know how lonely it can be for others, even if they're at the very tippity top and having the best success in the world as an athlete. I mean, you be the best football, basketball, track runner, you be the best baseball athlete, best coach in the world, but we're all dealing with the same inner demons that constantly are battling us every single day. And how do we handle those? How do we overcome these? And the inspirational speaking piece has been way more impactful than any baseball game I've ever played, any team I've ever been a part of. And I've been a part of some amazing teams with amazing people.
Mm-hmm.
But this is something that's truly like God has called me to do. And there's a scripture somewhere in there. I was reading it the other day, and I forget the 7 Romans, but I think it was Romans like 12 or something like that, where it's about just like using your callings and your gifts. And if you were sent to speak, go speak. Like if you're sent to be an encourager, go be an encourager. And that kind of rang in my head as well, because it's something that I know I have a passion for. And I want to say, like, selfishly, I feel like I'm pretty good at it, and I feel like I connect with the younger generation especially. And it's an opportunity to give back, man. I wish I had more people like this in high school when I was around, in college when I was around, and in and working with us. And the ones that did made a huge impact on my life, kind of kickstarted that process to make me realize that this is an opportunity and this is actually available to me if I pursue those opportunities. So it's been a huge blessing, man, and I'm never going to stop.
That's awesome. So you are the founder of what we call MLU, right? Major League University, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
He's got rocking the hat for those of you who can see it. MLU.
Hey, Rock, let's go. We gotta get you on.
Yeah, I got a big head, man. You better go double X on that sucker.
Snapbacks, baby. Snapbacks. One size fits all.
Not this head. But one of the things I love about MLU, you know, and this is a culture that I really admire what you're doing, because there's an old saying that by Francis of Assisi that says, "At all times preach the gospel, and when necessary use words." Right? And we live in a world that you and I both know is in desperate need of a savior. And I follow you on all your social platforms, and that is our world more than ever before with this lockdown, because we're filming this during the COVID-19 season. Social media is a large representation of who we are in the world today, and it's engaging people like never before. And your content that you put out is always inspiring, it's always encouraging, and you're also unapologetic. You don't shy away from like talking about scripture or your faith, but the front line, you're not going out there, I guess for a better phrase, Bible bashing people, right? You're going out there, and everything that you seem to put out is biblically driven in truth and in love. And you found a wonderful way to connect with these young coaches and young athletes, because many of them are probably not people of faith, right? But you're engaging them immediately off the bat. So like you kind of added this other piece to what I would consider kingdom work. So how has it been rewarding for you to see young lives be changed, and in the instances where you see them even drawn towards their faith through the inspirational talks that you've given? How has it changed you, and how has it driven you to just expand on MLU for the next generation?
Yeah, no, great question, man. I think the biggest part is hearing the feedback from the kids after the fact. So going into a college and being like, wow, I never saw things through that lens, or I never thought of it that way, or elaborate more on this piece of this thing. And I think the Bible's the best book in the world. Like, it's the book of life. Everything in there is so true, and it all reigns true in our lives. And there's so much wisdom in there that we can learn if we just study it, if we just open it up and just read it. And so being able to use that, a lot of the principles in there, they directly correlate to our real life applications. And so seeing the benefits that some of these kids have had, seeing the life-changing abilities and transformations that they've had in their own life, being able to, for instance, like I run a bunch of mental skills, you can call it mental strength, mindset mastery type programs. And I was doing one in the South Bay over in Santa Cruz. And this kid, after a week, I just told him a commitment. Hey, commit to yourself one thing every morning. And he started to do the cold shower. I'm like, okay, cool. Cold shower during the years before everything shut down, I think in January or February. And he came back the next week and he's like, dude, I've been doing a cold shower all week. And my biology grade went from an 87 to a 92. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm expecting here, like, I'm hitting better, I'm throwing better. And he goes, I'm actually awake in class in my first period. I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. So hearing like stories like that, man, hearing kids see it through a new lens is huge. And just to kind of go off of that, we did 2 webinars yesterday for just anybody in the community, baseball, softball. I mean, we invited the Nevada track team, like anybody and everybody. If you have a pulse, join in, like be a part of it. We had over 60 coaches, athletes, and families in there. And at the end of both, I had Matt Palmer in there, who was with the FCA. And I asked him, hey man, can you just pray over the families? Like, pray over the kids, pray over the families. And this was totally just, I don't know where it came from. It was probably the Holy Spirit speaking, but I don't even know if I should have done it. But there was nothing in the context of this is going to be this. But at the end, I just had this feeling like, we've got to pray over the families during this time who are so uncertain, who are going through so much fear, who probably some of these kids are watching their parents freaking out every day. Like, how can we help them? And that just right there was one of the best moments ever. So it's really inspired me, man, to continue to push the faith aspect. I'm not going to be sorry about it because he changed my life. He took me from the very bottoms, and I couldn't do it myself, man. And nobody could come take me except for him. And that's why I'm fully bought in and forever indicted to FCA as a fan, supporter, and just anything I can do to help.
Well, man, I love your heart, because the scripture you quoted is absolutely right. Like, he says, he made some teachers, some deacons, different gifts, and you are an encourager, and it's the gospel that drives you. And the nice thing about the platform you've created with MLU, like, you're the author and the founder, so if you want to pray over families, man, you get to do it. There's no restrictions for you. But we're gonna add someone else to this call right now, who's a kind of a product of your encouragement, also as you as a hitting instructor, and now you're a full-time head coach with San Domenico High School. We're going to add on to this call an FCA student here in Reno, Nevada, Isaac Snyder, someone who you're pretty familiar with, Austin. So let's go ahead and pass it over to Isaac. So Isaac, you are obviously well familiar with Coach Byler here. He's been a hitting coach for you for, I guess, a couple of years. Had a recent hitting lesson with him in February, but now we find ourselves, Bud, you are out of a season. No more baseball right now because of COVID-19. How are you feeling about that, Bud?
Yeah, it's a little difficult, just not being around my teammates, not being able to play, but being cooped up in the house, it's a good and bad thing. Teaches me that I can be on my own and get my own work in, but at the same time, I'm not on the field with my teammates, with my coaches. So I just have to take stuff on my own and work out in my garage, hit, throw. It's not as bad as you'd think, but not as good as I would want it to be.
Yeah, so you're kind of speaking a bit of a language that coaches love to hear. Coach Byler, as you hear of, I know Isaac's not in your program, but you hear of young guys right now getting their work in by themselves at the sophomore age. It's got to be pretty encouraging, right, to hear guys that dedicated.
Absolutely incredible, man, to see just kids of this age able to take some of the tools that they've learned and actually apply them to their game and apply them to their careers, and not just say they're doing something, but they actually do it. Like, I've seen Isaac since 12 years old, and like watching his development has been the coolest thing in the world. I mean, I remember he was just like maybe 5 foot tall, not even like 4'10", like just swinging a wet newspaper in the cage. And next thing you know, I see him about a month ago, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck happened, dude? Like, you are a beast. And he's like raking balls, like one after another. I'm like, okay, this dude's got something special, and he's always had that specialty in him. But now he's like, I'll be able to apply himself and see him mature and grow into his body. And I couldn't be more proud of this kid, man. He's one of my favorite kids I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'm a little partial. He is family member to me, but I'm a little partial to the kid too, even with his crazy hair. But Isaac, so give us a couple of nuggets, bud. Give us a couple of things that you have really appreciated with your hitting lessons with Coach Byler. Whether it's something, let's go something technical, or also something that you've appreciated and that you've learned from him as the character of the man.
Yeah. So for the technical side, like he's helped me with so much of my fundamentals, my swing. It's just like being on time in a rhythm, and it's just being the best athlete I can be. He's taught me to be the hardest worker, and he's someone I really look up to, aspire to. And he's one of the best coaches I've ever had. I really love working with him. And he's helped me so much mentally too. His company, Major League University, is top notch, and the mental side of that game is just, it's such an advantage for baseball.
Well, he didn't even have to just say that, Isaac. On point and on cue, man. That's awesome. So, Isaac, I said you attend the Monty Ranch High School. You're active in the FCA group there. You've been to our FCA camps. MLU is a encouraging program, and you know of Austin's faith. You know that he's been part of the FCA, and he's a believer. I got a baptismal story. How is it for you as a high school student seeing a coach with the quality of product like MLU, with the resume of being a D1 and a pro baseball player, how encouraging it is to you to have a coach who not only talks about but lives out his faith the way he does?
It's one of the most encouraging things for me. Like I said, I look up to him because I know some kids are out there, they're afraid to share their faith with their teammates. And to see someone like Austin run his company like this and be super proud of who he is and his faith, it's just really encouraging to know I can be that same person too. I can represent my faith on the field, off the field, with my teammates, without my teammates.
That's awesome, man. Austin, we started this interview by talking about your early high school career. How does it feel hearing a high school kid, a sophomore, talk like that because of your story?
One, it's very gratifying. It's very fulfilling. And Isaac, you gotta let me know after how much I owe you for the little snippet plug in there that you threw in there. But hey, I'm giving you the air knucks, man. I'm gonna blow this thing up. I love it. But it's very encouraging because you hit it nail on the head, Isaac. You said a lot of kids are nervous to share their faith because of how the world perceives them and how somebody's going to judge them. And I think if you're so worried about the comparison about what the world thinks of you, you're never going to be successful in anything that you do. And you're always going to constantly live in fear and anxiety, and you're going to worry about every situation in the world. And there's a lot of worry and fear going on right now. And if we can stay faithful, like, it just shows the lack of faith in some people and the full faith of the other people. And I think majority of people feel how we feel, but a lot of people are afraid to express it. But to see a sophomore in high school who's boldly expressing that on a podcast is going out to who knows how many people and who knows in what groups, and to be able to say that out loud and not be afraid and run from it because of what his teammates might think, or his coaches even might think, or who knows what else I think. It's absolutely incredible, man. But to see this full circle, James, it's the coolest thing in the world, man. This is why I do it. This is why I do what I do, man. I love this.
That's right. It's awesome. And I think it's a testament that God wastes nothing, right? You got all the trials and challenges, and he uses it all for his glory. So to Austin, to Isaac, thanks for taking the time to join us today. And we are a faith-based group. We are driven by the gospel, and we want to empower the next generation. So unscripted, Isaac, I would like you to close this out in prayer. If you could just pray for Coach Byler and his family and the ministry that he's doing, and then we will wrap it up, guys.
Yeah, of course. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for these two amazing guys. James Kitchen, such amazing person, and Austin Byler, great guy, great coach, runs his company very well. Praying for everyone with this whole situation of this coronavirus, praying for everyone's health, the people on the front lines fighting for us, and just praying for everyone's well-being and being I know being cooped up in this house is hard, and it's just we gotta pray for staying together. Staying together is the main thing. I just pray that everyone come together, community, and fight this together. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Dude, thank you, Isaac. Austin, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'm thankful for what you both do in the roles that you have for the kingdom. And let's stay connected and let's talk more, okay?
James, appreciate you, man. Appreciate everything you're doing in Reno, too. Keep crushing it. You're inspiring so many people, and the change you've had in my life has been drastic. So I want people to know that you are truly making a difference. I want you to know that you're truly making a difference in the kids' lives that you get to work with on a daily basis. And the way you've grown FCA is unbelievable, and I'm always a full supporter, 100%, whether I'm there, whether I'm across the country, whether I'm in another country. I don't care. I'm supporting you, brother.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate nice words, buddy. Appreciate you a lot. Thanks, guys.